Rinpoche.
Good evening and welcome to the Tibet Center here at 502 North Ridgewood Road, South Orange, New Jersey. We shall begin by reciting the prayer for the spreading of the teachings throughout the length and breadth of the West. You can find these in the FAQ section if you scroll down on the Tibet Center's website. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious three precious gems, and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddha's teachings flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West. For all the people living there, together with their near ones who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them, may all conditions adverse to their practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon. And especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are a source of benefit and happiness, may they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we have hoped and wished. Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once, the Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time the Blessed One entered the Samadhi which examines the Dharma's called profound illumination, and at the same time noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, how should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge? And Avalokiteshvara answered, Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendant knowledge, look at it like this, seeing the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Form is empty, emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form, form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors in consciousness are empty. Thus all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidans from ignorance to old age and death, nor their wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge. And since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear, they transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future, by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering should be known as truth, for there is no deception. In transcendent knowledge the mantra is proclaimed, Kayata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisattva. O Shariputra, this is how Bodhisattva Mahasattva should learn profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, O son of noble family, profound transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, Thy whole gathering in the world with its gods, humans, asuras, and gandharvas, their hearts full of joy, praise the words of the Blessed One.
Generate bodhicitta. With the wish
to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world.
Okay. Let's do good evening.
Oh, your hair's turning blue.
So let us recite Om Mani Padme Hum, one rosary, and as you're doing so, develop the wish to remove the suffering of all sentient beings. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. So this wish to remove the suffering of all sentient beings, this compassion, is what leads us to generate bodhicitta, the prayer that we recited, where we make a vow, we determine to work towards the attainment of full enlightenment in order to most effectively help others. So to develop this wish to attain enlightenment for all sentient beings, the prerequisite is compassion. Compassion is the cause, bodhicitta, this mind of enlightenment, is the effect. But in order to develop this attitude, to really truly have a wish to help all sentient beings, to engage in this this task of attaining full enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings, we have to have an equal attitude towards all sentient beings. We have to have what they call equanimity. And this is, if we're really honest, we divide people into categories of the people we care about, our friends, the people we are sort of neutral about, we don't have any feelings towards, and then people who cause us trouble. These are very clear categories that we all possess, and we have to identify these, and we have to actually work at diminishing our feeling of attachment towards or particular concern for our friends, and this total neutral, ambivalent attitude towards the majority of people, the neutral people. And here we're not really limiting it to human beings. So if you imagine the infinite sentient beings in the world, most of them are in this sort of neutral category. And then those people who cause us trouble, who harm us, and it's not necessarily, this category is interesting because it's made up not only of those people whom we dislike, but also those people who cause problems, people who may not have sort of malicious attitudes or feelings towards us, but just seem to make trouble or cause problems in our lives. So those are the three categories. And tonight, the meditations that we are going to be working on, that His Holiness explains, are working towards helping us develop a sort of equal attitude towards beings. There are considered to be two techniques for doing this. One where we, sometimes it's taught that you think of someone whom you're close to, someone whom you dislike, and a neutral person, or you can think of a little group of people whom you're particularly close to, and people whom you are sort of neutral about, and then the enemies or difficult people. And you see the way the way you behave towards and think about your friends, and you see the sort of attachment that you have towards them, and you see the sort of negative attitude towards the people in the enemy camp, and then the sort of ambivalence that you feel towards most people. And when we're taught this in traditional Lamrim teachings, where we're learning how to generate bodhicitta, and we are working at what's called the sevenfold cause and effect method, where we work at recognizing that each and every sentient being has been our mother in a past life, and maybe a few times. In that particular method, we work on this method for developing equanimity, where we think of a friend, an enemy, and a neutral person, and we think that this friend is a friend today. We're very fond of them, but in the future they could be an enemy, and the enemy is an enemy now, but in the future could become a friend. There's nothing definite about that position of being friend or enemy, and the neutral people can be either friends or enemies. And by thinking of this over and over, we can develop a certain sort of neutral attitude towards people. So this is His Holiness's presentation of this in this book is slightly different from that, but it's basically that meditation. So I'll read, so cultivating equanimity on page 172. In referring to the state of equanimity, it is important not to confuse this with indifference. Rather, equanimity is a state of mind where one relates to others in a way that is free of prejudice, rooted in the afflictions of excessive attraction or aversion. Now, one thing I should say is that the reason that we even engage in this prior to working at developing compassion and love towards all sentient beings is that if we haven't developed this sort of equal attitude towards all beings, if we haven't actually made effort towards diminishing our attachment for friends, our aversion towards enemies, and seeing those neutral people as being potentially friends or enemies, and therefore people whom we should have the same concern for as others, if we don't develop this equanimity, then when we assume this responsibility towards all sentient beings, it's sort of a pretense. It's not really for real. Until we have true equanimity, those biases will prevent us from generating true compassion, true great compassion, which is a compassion that encompasses all sentient beings, and thereby the true assumption of responsibility towards all sentient beings to attain Buddhahood. So, equanimity is the method by which we sort of establish what would you call it, an equal playing field, so that we can really engage in helping others with an attitude towards all. There are two principal forms of equanimity practice. One is likened to leveling our garden soil so that the flowers we plant grow evenly and well. Here the aim is to curb our habitual tendency to define our interactions with others in terms of self-referential categories of friends, foes, and strangers. The second practice is about developing, as it were, gut-level recognition of the fundamental equality of self and others as human beings who aspire to happiness and wish to avoid suffering. In the first of these practices, we again employ discursive thought processes. Although it is normal to feel close to our loved ones, negative towards those who wish us harm, and indifference towards strangers, too often we create unnecessary problems and suffering for ourselves and for others by clinging to these categories excessively for self-regarding reasons. As discussed earlier, this is the root of our tendency to relate to others in terms of us and them. So cultivating greater equanimity with respect to others is extremely helpful, especially as an aid to living an ethical life. Do you have any comments or things that you'd like to share?
I suppose I'm trying to understand, the benefits of equanimity. I think I'm understanding it slowly.
So we're not trying to, I should say that in these categories, we are trying to work towards developing an equal sense of responsibility. And if our relationship to the ones we're close to is that of attachment, and if we are sort of biased towards those whom we dislike, as being sort of enemies, those attitudes we have to really change.
Yeah.
And we have to work at developing some feeling of responsibility towards those whom we.
Towards everyone. Yeah.
So to do this, you once again begin by relaxing, settling the mind through a breathing exercise, and then proceed as follows. Call up an image of a small group of people you like. So we're going to do this. I'll go through it. So you have an image of a small group of people whom you like, such as some of your close friends, relatives. Establish this image in as much detail and with as much verisimilitude as you can. Then add an image next to it of a group of people towards whom you feel indifferent, such as people you see at work or out shopping but do not know well. Again, try to make this image as real and detailed as possible. Finally, call up a third image, this one of a group of people you dislike, or with whom you are in conflict, or whose views you strongly disagree with. And again, establish it as clearly and in as much detail as you can. So maybe we should, well, we'll go into the actual practice. Having created images of these three groups of people in your mind, you then allow your normal reactions towards them to arise. Notice your thoughts and feelings towards each group, and in turn, you will find that your natural tendency is to feel attachment towards the first group, indifference towards the second, and hostility towards the third. Recognizing this, you next turn to examining your mind, your own mind, and considering how each of these three responses affects you. You will find that your feeling towards the members of the first group are pleasurable, inspiring a certain confidence and strength, coupled with a desire to alleviate or prevent their suffering. Towards the second group, you will notice that your feelings do not excite you or inspire any particular thoughts or concerns. Towards the third group, however, the feeling you have will excite your mind in a negative direction. The next step is to engage in contemplation using your critical faculty. So you've got that. I won't read it over afterwards. So you have the friends, the neutral people, let's say the friends to your left, the neutral people in front of you, and the enemy category to the right, and you'll begin by really noticing how your attitude towards each of these categories, how you feel about them. Towards the second group, you'll notice that your feelings do not excite or inspire. Towards the third group, however, feelings you have will excite your mind in negative directions. The next step is to engage in contemplation using your critical faculty. The people we consider our enemies today may not remain so, and this is also true of our friends. Furthermore, sometimes our feelings towards friends, such as attachment, can lead to problems for us, while sometimes our interaction with enemies can benefit us, perhaps by making us stronger or more alert. Contemplating such complexities can lead you to reflect on the futility of relating to others in an extreme manner, whether they are members of the third group or the first. Once you see that this way of relating to others impedes your ability to develop goodwill towards them and has a negative impact on your peace of mind, you then try to lessen the strength of your extreme feelings. Over time, the aim is to be able to relate to others not as friends or foes according to your divisive classifications of them, but as fellow human beings whose fundamental equality with yourself you recognize. Okay, so let's do that. So, sit up straight, back straight, and if you can keep your spine straight with your chin slightly tucked down, your arms not sticking out or up against you, but comfortably at your side, with your right hand on your left with your thumbs touching. You look down the slant of your nose, not wide, eyes wide open, and you're meant to touch your tongue to the top of your mouth. And begin by simply following the breath. We'll do this for like 2 minutes. Just watch the breath go in and out. You can watch at the point of the nose, you can watch at the abdomen, and simply count 1 as you breathe in and out, and then 2. And if the mind goes off, when you bring it back, start over at 1. Okay. Okay, now create your 3 groups. To your left, your friends; in the middle, your neutral people; and to the right, enemies. And explore how you feel towards each group. recognize how friends are not necessarily always going to be friends, and enemies are not necessarily always going to be enemies, and neutral people can become friends and enemies, and begin to work at developing an equal attitude towards all. Okay. So, to reread just the last sentence. Over time, the aim is to be able to relate to others, not as friends or foes, according to your divisive classification of them, but as fellow human beings whose fundamental equality with yourself you recognize. So that's where you're trying to get. And this is something you can do sitting on the train or on the subway, or you can just consider these categories, and you can create little groups in your mind and go through this process. As for the second form of equanimity practice, many of the points already discussed in Chapter 2, the chapter on our common humanity, can be brought into our mental cultivation here. The key points are two simple truths. Just as I myself have an instinctive and legitimate desire to be happy and to avoid suffering, so do all other people, and that just as I have the right to fulfill these innate aspirations, so do they. For reflecting on these points, we can then ask ourselves, on what grounds do we discriminate so powerfully between ourselves and others? If we repeat this exercise over and over, not just in one or two practice sessions, but over the course of weeks, months, and even years, we will gradually find that we are able to generate true inner equanimity based on a profound recognition of humanity's shared innate aspiration to happiness and dislike of suffering. So, we'll do this one. And here, instead of these categories, we simply think of one person, and we don't have to limit this to people. We can think of insects, animals, but really think that just as I wish to be happy and wish not to suffer, so does this person wish to be happy and not to suffer. Just as I wish to be happy and not to suffer, so does this person wish to be happy and not to suffer. You go one at a time, and you really identify the fact that there's no difference between me and anyone else in this wish to be happy and wish not to suffer. And as you're going through friends and neutral people and people you dislike, really I find it very helpful to think that the person who causes us difficulty, we may not think of them as enemies, but the bureaucrats who cause one, I have to deal with Social Security today on the phone, and just each of the people who is causing us frustration only wishes to be happy and not to suffer. Their only aspiration, that what motivates them, is a wish to be happy and not to suffer, just in the same way that I wish to be happy and not to suffer, and we're equal in that sense. Really thinking about this one person at a time changes our attitude towards others. Okay, so again, just spend a moment concentrating on your breath, and then begin. And we shouldn't do this really in terms of large categories. We should do it in terms of individuals, one at a time. So this is also an exercise that we can do as we go through life. Again, sitting on the subway, thinking, just as I wish to be happy and wish not to suffer, so does this person wish to be happy and not to suffer. And it will begin to change your attitude towards others, just to acknowledge that they are no different from us in their wish to be happy and not to suffer.
I remember I asked you about this before, but I wanted to re-ask it. Because I just want to make sure I really understand it. Is that what we're trying to understand is that the wish to be happy and not to suffer is the thing that links us, not the thing that makes someone happy. Correct. Like,
So, yeah, we're not working, at this point, we are trying to develop equanimity. We're not, it's not,
it's not agreeing with the thing that makes someone else happy,
no.
right? Even
It's-
if you might think that what makes them happy is not the best thing,
We're-
doesn't matter.
many monsters in the world, and what we're trying to understand is the fact that what motivates them to do whatever the monstrous thing is a wish to be happy and not to suffer.
Right,
And in that sense, we are the same.
we're the same. Understood.
Is this ascension being making noise? Sometimes we have to tell these. Hush.
It's the robot.
Just as we wish to be happy
Yes,
and not to
Robert.
suffer, this.
Just doing its job.
Is it the Roomba?
Oh,
Karen, can you tell our friend here to be quiet and go?
he's trying to make us happy.
Being very compassionate.
Can I stop the robot?
Oh, yes.
Stop the robot.
Maybe when he hears the
Well-
word compassion, he reacts.
When you said you had to call Social Security, my first thought was call centers are the best Dharma center. Because everybody thinks that the person on the other end of the phone is other. You know, they're not even in our country. They don't even work for the company I'm calling. And we sort of go into it like, this is gonna be a battle. When really what we should be thinking is, that could be me on the other end of the phone. So for my circumstances, and I was working on that call center because it was the only job I could get, I certainly wouldn't want me on the other end of the phone getting angry.
It's another.
Is
We're
there
gonna
an,
pull the plug.
there an on-off switch?
It's going back to its home.
He's trying to find its home.
Okay. Just wants to go home.
Wants attention. Neurotic robot.
So. Oh, sorry. Perfect, no, done it. Thank you. So it's found happiness.
Yeah.
May
Nirvana.
we just be able to
Be the Roomba.
find happiness, yes. So, these two meditations are, usually one chooses one or the other, and really makes this a practice for life, for the rest of one's life. And I strongly recommend that you do that, to just incorporate it into your way of thinking as you go through life. It's not something that's going to have an effect, as His Holiness says, in a few practices, or in a few weeks, or in a few months. It's really something that we devote years to. Okay, now the next meditation is an interesting one. We are rejoicing in the example of others. And here we are taking someone to, we are recognizing the qualities of some special person, and recognizing how that person behaves and how those qualities reflect in that person. These are ways of developing our wish to emulate, our inspiration from them. So, another exercise which can be very helpful in cultivating beneficial states of mind is a discursive practice taking as its object the good example of a person we greatly admire. This is similar in some ways to using role models as a means of inspiring ourselves. For those coming from a secular background, this can be someone past or present whom we especially admire for his or her compassionate and selfless selflessness, compassionate selflessness. Perhaps a doctor, a nurse, a teacher, or a scientist. For those of religious faith, it might be the founder of our religious tradition or some saint from its history. By reflecting on the admired person's life, contemplating how he or she lives or lived for others, how his or her behavior is or was characterized by compassion, we familiarize ourselves with this example. One of the aims of this type of analytic meditation, mental training, is to gain a direct appreciation of a given quality. In this case, we analyze what motivates people to devote themselves to others. Having identified this quality, we then focus on it and rest our minds on it as a way to unite ourselves with the quality through direct intuitive insight into the compassionate motivation that is the ultimate object of this exercise. In other words, the idea is to train ourselves to act in our daily lives as the person we admire would act, so that when, for example, we become aware of others' suffering, we feel disposed to respond as this person would respond. We are thus seeking first to change our attitude towards others and then to change our behavior. This, after all, is the whole point of our practice, to inform and affect our actions. If it does not, then there's not much point in practicing. So, we'll do this. So think of someone who inspires you, and really think about the way that person possesses, exemplifies, acts upon the qualities that we attribute to that person, and see the actual behavior of that person, and identify those qualities as a way of inspiring yourself to act in that way. Okay. So, what do you have to say?
Could you be more specific?
No,
About?
The type of response you are seeking.
Well, you can share the benefits of this as you experience them now. You can question the legitimacy of dwelling on certain aspects of any of these. But I will say in respect of this last one, here again, this is something that we can take into our lives. We can, I act as if I spent a lot of time on the subway, but if you're on the subway, you can really imagine how whomever it is that you are considering as being some holy being who inspires you, that person might behave in the situations that you're confronting, and work at maintaining that as that person, or as an inspiration and as a guide to how to behave in certain situations.
you ever ride the subway with Rinpoche? Anytime, how he, I'm just all over the place, just painting the whole scene. You could see that he's seen it all, but the way he acted, he didn't bump. Sometimes he would push like Tibetans, he got right into the rush hour scene, but you could tell he wasn't cranked up as I was. And I said, how does he do it? I don't understand when he spoke scholarly or so he spoke in Tibetan, but these little qualities, wow. And it's based on his training. So we're getting a taste of it now. We're fortunate to know him in ordinary moments, laundry room, laundrettes and hero shops and all that. His demeanor, that's the word I want, Well, certainly not mine.
Second meditation, you had said something about a person with meanness and anger and whatever, and they're acting the way that they act, using those is really an attempt on their part for happiness, the way they misunderstand it or the way they understand it. We're trying to understand their point of view. Am I correct in that?
We're not trying to understand their point of view, we're trying to recognize that their motivation, their wish is simply to be happy and to avoid suffering, and they're going about it in this aberrated way maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
But if we really recognize that all they wish for
Deep
is
down
happiness,
inside,
they're not doing, people don't misbehave out of a wish to suffer. They do so really in the belief that that's how they will derive satisfaction or happiness or whatever. And recognizing that is the first step toward then developing some kind of compassion towards them.
Mhm.
I'm a curmudgeon. All I could think was, when you were doing the 3 different groups, the friends, the strangers, and the enemies. And I was trying to put together my groups. And I don't think I fit in to this scenario. And the thing that came to my mind was familiarity breeds contempt. And over the course of my life, the people that I thought were friends weren't. And I was just too naive to understand that. And that I do have a couple, but not what not as many people that I thought were friends were not. And I think I'm lucky to have a couple people that I consider friends, even though I never see them anymore because we're so far apart. But there's like this kindred spirit, is that the right word? When we do touch base, it's as if we haven't been apart, but that doesn't happen that often. The other thing is I find, I'm already at a point where I look at strangers and I feel kindly towards them. I feel more kindly towards them than some people I know well. And I don't know why that is, but you can just look at some people and your heart goes out to them for whatever reason. And then on the other side, you know, on that side, the people that I have challenges with, mostly it's because it's very hard to like someone who is either disregards other people or seems to take pleasure in hurting people in that they like to exert their power, for example, or something along those lines. And even though you say we should understand that they have similar motivations, like they're doing that because they want to be happy, I can't accept it, first of all, and second of all, I don't really identify with this whole just want to be happy thing. I don't just want to be happy. I want to be peaceful, and I want to feel engaged, but happiness to me is overrated. I'm sorry, I just don't, I'm sorry.
No,
You know, so when people talk about, you know, you want happiness, I want happiness, I can't really identify with that.
What about lasting happiness?
Pardon me?
What about lasting,
No.
never fluctuating happiness?
lasting peace.
That's
Serenity,
different, that's a
perhaps.
different word.
Serenity, but not happiness, because happiness, you know, to
What's-
me, it.
You've been Madison Avenue to death.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that, or maybe it is, you know, it's a use of a word, you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
It's,
right.
but it I've always felt like there's no need to seek happiness, because at least in our culture, it's like a quantity or something.
What about avoiding suffering?
Yeah, well, even suffering's not fun, but it's part of the condition, you know? And if you're suffering needlessly, because it's the thing that makes somebody else happy, because they want you to suffer, that's like the mental problem. But if you're suffering with someone, like commiserating or something along those lines, I don't see, you know, that's also part of the human condition, right? You suffer with them. It's like the give and
Misery loves
take, you know,
company,
like
that type of-
I'll take your suffering so that you could have less.
Yes, we could do that.
Right, so asking me if I wanna do without suffering kind of is confusing to me as well.
I don't know if that suffering is the same. The one that you voluntarily seek to remove, or you suffer because you're helping people who are
Suffering
worse
is
off. I don't know if that's the same as just stuff that comes pouring on you. I haven't made up my mind.
Okay, well, I'll
I
try to
think,
consider that, suffering is suffering, you know.
I think maybe what you're
Isn't
looking.
it? sorry.
No, go ahead.
Please.
You go
No,
first.
no, your turn.
Also.
No. If it's not happiness, it's whatever that emotional feeling is that you aspire to, then that's the emotional feeling I aspire to as well. We can put different words on it. You know, I could say happiness, you could say serenity, someone else could say wisdom, whatever it is. Yeah, I think it's that emotion that you try to feel, recognizing that even the people who seemingly have no soul, they too have this emotion that they want something. Whether it's, you know, looking to the divine or being one with the universe, whatever that feeling is, everybody has it. in some capacity, or, I mean, I think everyone has that desire. So without putting the words on it, just focus on that.
Well, that's, I just feel like I don't fit into that.
Isn't it all suffering? And you just exchange one suffering for another type of suffering? You don't ever really escape from suffering, do you, in samsara?
You don't have moments of happiness?
Of course. And that's, yes.
You
Well,
don't wish to have?
of course I do. But even so, it's a kind of pervasive suffering that you exchange for another type of pervasive suffering with moments of happiness and so on. It isn't, you never really escape from suffering.
So here what we're trying to do is recognize that others are experiencing that too.
Yes.
And they also wish to escape from that state of suffering.
Right, but in terms of happiness, I wonder, sure, I mean, is there really happiness? You can aim for equanimity, of course, but what exactly is meant by happiness?
We seek a point where we are not experiencing something that we would want to shed or be separate from, where we want to be free of that, the unhappiness that we experience.
That's equanimity.
We can call it whatever we wish, but
I
I
see.
think that that's what we're, I mean, in that sense, I think we don't have to put the word happiness on it, but what we're trying to do is recognize that others wish to find freedom from their unhappiness.
So within states of suffering, of course, we can have joy and happiness and equanimity, but overall, isn't it, don't we just go through a process of exchanging one type of suffering for another state of suffering, a different state of suffering?
Really pessimistic person.
No, that's what I thought. You never escape from suffering, though.
Well, we're working towards escaping from suffering, and we're working towards developing the compassionate attitude that works to attain not just freedom from suffering, but a state where we can actually help others.
Right. Yes.
I think there's a simple way to describe it, which for me, it's just, I have moments in my experience which I want to continue, moments which I'm indifferent about continuing or not
Yes.
continuing, and moments that I don't want to continue. So for those, that's the three categories for me.
I do a little test with myself where I'll just take what I have and I will be in it as long as it's there, and I don't really, you know, you know how it's the clinging, you shouldn't, or I shouldn't, I should talk to myself, right? I'm working on not clinging to anything, like, because then you have the suffering of wanting to be someplace that you're not. Like, if you remember, I liked that, and, you know, that's what I liked, and I like being there, then when you're not there, you're missing it. So, I just work to enjoy, like, not even enjoy, just be where I am. I don't know,
Clinging is the right word.
you know?
It's a good word. Grasping, clinging.
Yeah.
Clinging on to-
Does it
And
feel-
if something's, you know, whatever it is, right? I just say, oh, this is interesting. But I try not to have too much attachment to it, because that's where you get in trouble. Took me a while to get here.
So what we're trying to do is identify that same thing in others.
I don't think it exists in a lot of people, especially in my world. Everybody has the consumer, the me, and boy, I would feel great if I could just get that away from the person, or, you know, it's
Yeah.
all about,
But that's exactly what's being referred to.
okay, but
They believe that's gonna produce happiness in them.
but they're clinging to things, and I am trying not to cling to things. I don't see many people letting things go.
Yeah. The question is not the effectiveness of their process. It's that they want to be happy, and they're doing the best they can with
Okay.
what they know.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And why are you trying not to cling to things? Like, what motivates that?
Not sure. Just
Describes it. Because then you're unhappy
because
because you're not with the thing you
I
want.
want to be in a moment. I don't want to be over there or behind me or anything. I just want to be in a moment, and I want to accept where I am, whatever it is. I don't want to be outside of whatever I'm in. I don't know how to explain it. I'm not that, I don't have the right vocabulary.
I think you did explain it.
Okay.
That was great.
I think everything you have expressed is your search to be happy.
No.
No?
It's a search to let go.
I really believe that happiness is overrated, and I'm not chasing after happiness.
Why?
Hmm?
Why?
Why am I not chasing after happiness?
Yeah.
Because how can chasing after anything make you happy?
So you wanna be happy?
Not really. Well, no, I don't, I know,
It happens, if she's saying it's gonna happen by dropping the clinging.
It's
Right,
true
I-
though,
I-
you can't reach
well.
enlightenment if
That's
you're
true.
clinging to trying to reach enlightenment.
First of all, we don't
At
see.
some point, you have to
reality.
let go of the path and just experience, which I think is what you're looking at. Sounds
Maybe,
like,
I
just want to
guess.
experience every moment that I'm in,
Mhm.
which I wish I could do that.
But here, the exercise that we've spent the evening cultivating is aimed towards diminishing our particular closeness to some and our indifference to others and our sort of aversion towards others. We're working towards developing an equal attitude towards them, as in order to have let's say a flat an equal situation on which to begin to build true concern, true.
I used to work for some, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I used to work for a guy, and he said, because I don't favor anybody, I hate everyone equally. So you're choosing one level of
We were missing the balance.
So we have a few. Happiness is perhaps a byproduct of making better choices. The pursuit of happiness does not necessarily help generate it, because its perceived elusiveness might actually increase suffering. That's related to
Who's that?
Pitby, and Matt Casey says the concept of eudaimonia
Yes.
includes a wider definition of happiness than the common definition. And then okay. So Well,
One question, Nikki, I was just wondering, when I experience something that's beautiful, a song or a flower, or I take a walk and I see something that is just beautiful, and I experience a sense of happiness from it, because I experience that, some beauty or something being wonderful, it doesn't, just because I experience something being beautiful or wonderful doesn't necessarily mean I have to be attached to it, does it? Just because it is beautiful and it brought me happiness doesn't imply that I have to be attached to it.
no, you don't have to be attached to it.
Right. So I feel like just because experiencing happiness, just by experiencing it doesn't mean I have to be attached to it. And yet I still enjoy it, but it doesn't mean I have to say, now I just want flowers only around me all the time, I only want beauty around me all the time. It'll go away. But it seems like experiencing happiness seems wonderful, and accepting that these things will change is also like happiness too, in some level of expecting that suffering will come and flowers will come and it'll all be this exchange, and that I don't necessarily have to be attached to either, seems like reflective of even the equanimity of it, of that. Just like the flowers are really beautiful and they're bringing me a lot of, and then this life thing's happening and it's horrible, and now there's this in between here also. Feels like it's almost like expecting it. I don't know, it feels comforting on some level.
So, in what we were doing tonight, we are seeing that others are
Yeah.
going through that same thing.
Yeah.
Just the way you are, others are going through that.
Right.
Can I ask, when we talk about liberation or enlightenment, what might that happiness be like?
Liberation itself,
Yeah.
I'll tell you when I.
We have certain descriptions, do we not?
I don't know, do you know, Tony?
No. That's something you have to come out of your, I don't know. I think you're not thinking in terms of words at that point.
Yeah.
I think Tony knows, he just
Yeah, I
doesn't
don't
wanna tell
know.
us.
Are you kidding? I just cover it up with jokes. And they're getting worse by the day.
Good one.
You need new fresh material, right?
So
So-
we've been asked to pray for Sri Krishna Pillai and
Oh, yeah,
Aradhana's
Aradhana's.
mom's best friend, Sushila, in Fiji,
And Ray.
and Ray.
Sheila we met, she came here.
So we will read the Sutra of the Recollection of the Noble Three Jewels. I prostrate to the Omniscient One. Thus the Buddha, Bhagavata, Bhagata, Arahat, Samyasambhava, the learned and virtuous one, the Suddhata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans is the Buddha Bhagavad. The Tathagata is accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He is completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor arts. He blossoms with the flowers of the major arts. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who long with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strength cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough for seeing him. His form is incomparable. He is not stained by the realm of desire. He is not stained by the realm of form. He is not affected by the formless realms. He is completely liberated from suffering.
He is completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He has crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavas who arrives in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavad teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma which is taught by the Bhagavad is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy. It is trustworthy and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha of the great Yana, they enter completely, they enter insightfully, they enter straightforwardly, they enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration with joined palms. They are worthy of receiving prostration. They are a field of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. They are a great object of complete generosity. The protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue, I prostrate to the Tathagata, pure the cause of freedom from passion, virtuous, liberating from the lower realms. This alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma which is peace. Having been liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure realm.
With the
Determination to accomplish the highest welfare of all sentient beings, who surpass even a wish-granting jewel, I will learn to hold them supremely dear. Whenever I associate with others, I will learn to think of myself as the lowest amongst all, and respectfully hold others to be supreme from the very depths of my heart. In all actions I will learn to search into my mind, and as soon as a disturbing emotion arises, endangering myself and others, I will firmly face and avert it. I will learn to cherish ill-natured beings, and those oppressed by strong misdeeds and sufferings, as if I had found a precious treasure difficult to find. When others out of jealousy treat me badly, with abuse, slander, and so on, I will learn to take all loss and offer the victory to them. When the one whom I have benefited with great hope unreasonably hurts me very badly, I will learn to view that person as an excellent spiritual guide. In short, I will learn to offer to everyone without exception all help and happiness directly and indirectly, and respectfully take upon myself all harm and suffering of my mothers. I will learn to keep all these practices undefiled by the stains of the 8 worldly concerns, and by understanding all phenomena as light illusions, be released from the bondage of attachment.
prayer for the swift return of Dr. Chumayo Boshe.
Exalt the wisdom of all victors gathered in a drop. Sole refuge manifest in the form of the one wearing saffron robes. Rule of Son to one Lord Chant. Please bear witness here today that our prayers may be fulfilled. We beseech the great torch of doctrine, accomplishing from long ago the vast waves of aspirational prayers. Lord of speech of the victor Loson's teachings, spreading them to the ends of the earth by means of explanation and practice.
the
holy commitment, I will invite all beings to be my guests in unsurpassed great awakening. Yet you have withdrawn the activities of the former body, serve the welfare of others. Is that worthy of the supreme among beings, the Bodhisattvas? Though impossible for you till cyclic existence end, to abandon your commitment to liberate all beings, we beseech the new son of Nirmanakaya to swiftly return from the realm of Dharmakaya, brought forth by bodhicitta drawn by 7 steeds. Having reached the far limits of scholarship, religious life, and goodness, please come swiftly as an unrivaled supreme emanation, full holder of the sage's teachings, and wish-fulfilling jewel, return as the glory of Losang Tenpe, magnificent truth of the 3 precious jewels, Mahakala, Karmayana, Srimati Devi, and the ocean of our protectors, may you spontaneously fulfill our wish, the swift blossoming of the reincarnation's fresh moonlight face. Is that?